The Florida State Championship for Super Smash Bros. Ultimates begins now, courtesy of Florida Association of School Administrators and PlayVS. Hail Monkey Man joins me again, Bearlight, here in the booth, as we've seen Rocket League, but now it's time to get some smash and dash in action going.
Bang, bang. Wait, I have the wrong thing up there? Boom, gotta put my vine plant. He's a little taller, he kind of gets in the way of my mouth, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back to see some good old Super Smash Brothers. Of course, at the high school level, it doesn't really matter, really, honestly, what level it is, be it for play versus be it anywhere. It's always good to see some good old fighting game community come to the forefront here, Bear, especially with the way that we're seeing this one go down between the Firebirds of Florida Virtual School versus Innovation High. Go Horns! Or what? No, wait, hold on. Crimson Bulls. Horns up. I gotta practice. They weren't there to practice with me for my call.
Yeah, well, listen, I thought you did a great job. Innovation
Thank
High
you.
School and Florida Virtual School coming in here to try to secure the victory here in the States. And, of course, it takes a full team effort here in Smash. There's a lot of Smash tournaments out there where it's you only focus on yourself and the counters that maybe you have to throw out, but you have to work as a team here. As if you don't know the rule set here, well, it is a best of 5 made up and comprised of best of 3s that will be played from one player to another. So you choose your first member to go out first to play against question mark. You don't know who's going to be tossed out first on the other side, and then you do that again for 2 more times, and then once everybody's through, then you start to get to decide who we're going to throw back out there. It's a great format that really not only tests your ability to stay sharp as a coach and as a team, but also what are your best matchups that you've seen through the first couple, as long as it's not 3-0 at the beginning stages.
Yeah, that's really kind of the big tell because everyone's going to get a chance to play. You have usually a roster of 3, so we're guaranteed to get 3 matches because it is a best of 5 with sets. So if you get confused when we're kind of starting and restarting, changing maps and stages rather, and changing kind of characters because they have to still do a best of 3 individually. This is going to be a neat one as well because I believe that we will have Koshi versus Void moving into our first matchup. I believe that Koshi will go by the name Yuki into this one. And this is about what we expected. Good old Olimar versus a Joker. They're running down the speed versus the little astronaut that could.
A little astronaut with a few little Pikmin that we'll keep eyes on constantly. So Olimar is played very frequently by Koshi, rather, as we jump into this one initially. So keep eyes on how they're able to utilize those against a Joker who's obviously extremely difficult to really go up against, especially when you get to the edge. So key for Olimar is not only being able to use your Pikmin, to a great proportion, but also staying mid-stage, have that stage control. At the end of the day, you don't want to be left off stage with the Joker, as they almost lost their first stock already.
They already popped their Rebellion gauge, and that was built up actually very, very quickly. We've been seeing a great job being accomplished right now by Koshi on this Olimar because you don't want to have to, leave too many of your Pikmin behind. You need some extra bonus damage to them. They have a fantastic recovery. However, when the power is coming out of them, I mean, that's just hands being thrown. That's going to be first stock out.
Yeah, it's just a good read overall. I mean, the Olimar had it, but a great response back there as an up air will, actually just an up tilt, I believe, was what sent them packing there. So when you have that purple Pikmin in hands, you never know when you might be used against it. So I love that answer there from 3VK.
And again, we were talking in the pre-show, like, all right, what is the point of a blue Pikmin? And they were immediately throwing the blue Pikmin off stage because you want a lot of yellows, you want a lot of purple, you want even some whites to be able to get some of that dot damage that's happening. And so far, trying to stay center stage and make it so difficult to do literally anything. They're halfway to that Rebellion gauge, but 140% sayonara.
Love that, 2 in a row. And it's just, like, you don't get discouraged. And, of course, you got caught off the edge. That's what Joker does particularly well. But then didn't let that really get at you, pester you at all. As a side tilt didn't land there. Great job to keep them at bay. Great zoning there from Joker as you try to get your footing and try to get that spacing back to where it was before.
So much extra just damage being applied right now. Now there's about to be breaking open and busting open that Rebellion gauge one more time. There come the Wings of Rebellion as they now have some extra power. They're basically 2-timesing it right now with as light and as little as Olimar is, especially at 93%. One good smash, and this one could just get us down to even single stocks. But this is some bonus damage really being acquired right now by Koshi, and he's making it so difficult to have to live on stage. And that meter is going to be bled through. This could be the end of this first of our best of 3 as they get the grab. That'll complete it. Bear. Good work, Clinic by Koshi.
Yeah, it was. To not lose a stock after you dropped the first one is very impressive. And maybe they're just kind of throwing out Pikmin until they got to the one they wanted, which was, of course, the purple and I think the white towards the end as well to do a little bit of damage over time, a little bit of grabbing action to keep Joker at bay. So Elijah, strong start, fell off from there. Basically, what are your key takeaways for Elijah to jump back in here and really get this going yet again?
It's nothing that has to be too kind of difficult to it. I felt like that they obviously, when you play into an Olimar, it's almost like playing into a Warlock for all my World of Warcraft heads out there. You just get dotted out. You get so much damage that's applied before you can even get to an Olimar, and that's exactly what he's trying to weaponize. You have a rush down style character. Joker wants to cut that distance, be able to do that alongside a lot of speed. So maybe you can open things up. You can be able to use the gun, kind of trip them up, get some kind of stutter damage to force them to have to kind of repel and have to escape. You get him floating and it becomes a target, and it's not like we didn't see at least first stock taken, but that was such a clinic being ran by Koshi, who's running under the name of Yuki as well. So they don't really need to change much at all. They were doing just stellar work, applying such even damage across that match.
Yeah, and Elijah, known as Void, she did a wonderful job of starting off strong, and it's all about just being able to keep that spacing. I feel like it went away a little bit, and that's why they seem like desperate to some degree to try to just be able to bounce and use those platforms to get above, get vertical. And even if you do that, I mean, the Pikmin, you can throw them in that direction too, so it's very difficult to kind of maneuver around it. Did very well early, so the adjustment was made on the other side. Innovation High will take that first of the best of 3 set here in the first set. You understand what I'm saying. Best of 3 of the first set. So they've got the first one in hand. I just need one more in order to close out that set and be able to move on to the next one. So exactly the start that you were looking for.
Whenever I start talking about like best of and then it has to have another of to complete the sentence, you already know it's going wacky. But best of 3 and best of 5. So we go into game number 2 regardless. A win here will turn this into a first dub here for Innovation High. Horns up. Look, I practiced that time. That one ended up working out for the Crimson Bulls. So we'll see if Koshi changes anything. I don't think that really they're going to have to. So far, this feels like a very favorable matchup. And we speak to that as well whenever we have characters for Super Smash Brothers. Joker might be a tough one to kind of accomplish. There's the slightest wrinkle if she actually wants to kind of turn this around and go to the Rosalina. They have played that in the regular season. I don't think that they will change away. I think they kind of keep with what they are, but who knows? You're the first on the bucket here for Florida Virtual. Maybe they try to switch things up early, you know?
Yeah, you know, and for Florida Virtual, you have to be ready to be able to jump on to occasions. You want to be able to use Arson. You are the Firebirds, after all. I feel like it would just be appropriate to use Arson, aka your buddy that you have with Joker, to perfection. I feel like when they were out, they weren't able to utilize it, and that's, I mean, credit where credit's due to Koshi, who kept them at bay whenever that Arson was out in order to limit and really mitigate some of that damage.
Yeah, very, very true. So, as we go into this, we'll have an early Rebellion gauge already. 99% and then done. 0 to death. Flawless and untouched was Koshi. Wow, that's a way to start things off.
Yeah, very discouraging, especially when you came out striking the first time around, and this time you don't even have that advantage, and stocks are still being taken that quickly. So that's all about adjustment in my eyes. So, again, Koshi just doing wonderful things here already. Off the edge, though, that's where you don't want to play from. Up on that top, up on that platform as well, but was able to get out in time. Throwing a couple Pikmin to keep them at bay, but a great job to answer there with the bounce back.
Yeah, I love that guard. You know that you're going to be spammed, so why not try to be able to get some of that timing, and it forces at least Koshi to have to kind of regroup and recover. Oh, big purple Pikmin and a down smash is going to separate them, and now they're trying to consistently get that guard, and it's becoming a bit too telegraphed. I see 2 big purple Pikmin. That means there's some damage on the way.
Yeah, not a great place to be, especially when your percentage doesn't even need to be over 105 before that one can land very easily and put you off the edge. But they're off the edge instead. Able to fight and gain a little bit of space on this side there, and up you go and out. So we knew that was inevitable. It was just a matter of when, and you were hoping to just avoid that as long as possible, but just not quite able to do so, was Elijah.
Yeah, when they had thrown one of the purples away, I was like, oh no, this is actually kind of dicey. And then they still had one in the back pocket looking for the recovery, and at 120%, eventually that was going to go through. Wings of Rebellion have been popped out, so they have to take advantage before this Olimar is able to pick anything from out of the ground. They're going to get a recovery, another purple and a yellow. They have the dot damage as well from the white. As soon as they try to get any of that going, and for the time being, Void has found themselves on the ropes, and it looks like this one actually might go the wrong way. They do get them, but it's just a big smash in the face. That's going to be a 2-0 off the rip from Koshi. They will be putting Innovation on top.
Yeah, I knew it once it was basically a recovery effort, and the only place they could go was on stage there at that point, because the Pigman would have sent you flying anyways, that was going to be inevitable. So you could just get in tight there in the Olimar. It's been successful throughout the entirety of this season. Goes right back to work here in the finals, exactly when you need it for Innovation High.
All right, so we'll be going into our next match, and if you are the likes of Elijah, she's probably just like, all right, well, that one was rough. I haven't actually seen a lot of Olimar in my time of playing Smash, but that's because people be cheesing other stuff, and so in old head terms, that one was just kind of stock standard. I know a fellow caster, Septilence, he is an Olimar main, so they would be proud to be able to see what was happening from out of Koshi's corner. So that'll be our first. Again, it's best of 5, so we go into our next one. You're kind of choosing either between Diego or Nico. That we've seen, some Steves be lurking, some Bayonetta combos for this side of Florida Virtual, but they don't want to go down an 0-2 hole in this series.
Yeah, no, that's 100% valid. You have to be able to kind of bounce back at this point. The 0-2 hole has not been favorable when we talk about the Smash Ultimate Finals here in FASA. So I got to hop back to it, and I think the best way that you do that is maybe bringing in a heavy Steve, right? Who's just plays so well against it, especially when you have the success that you've had with it all the way through. So I think Diego maybe brings that out next. As a potential, we'll have to kind of take that at a grain of salt too, because they played plenty of other characters along the way, because Aegis a part of the conversation, aka Pyra Mithra, and Sheik also part of that spectrum too. I believe they only played once though, so really it's gonna be the Steve, Aegis, or the Bayonetta, like you mentioned, who's also plays so quickly, so it's so difficult when you don't know who you're going up against.
It really is. And we actually do know, though, that our next matchup is going to be between Mateo and Nico. Mateo Ortiz, also known as Iwis or Iwis. I'm going to go with Iwis. They have clinically and only played Duck Hunt. That's an interesting particular, I guess, character overall. They have one of the fastest crawl speeds in the game. So I wonder if they're going to be trying to get underneath a lot of what Nico is going to be flying at them, because they're probably bringing a Bayonetta. That is some combo to really throw the dog and the duck around that stage.
Yeah, it'll be fire after fire, because you also have with the duck hunt, you'll have the coats, right? The blue coat, orange coat, and black coat, white coat situation. So weapon v weapon. So that'll be fun to watch for sure. I think it favors Bayonetta in the way of speed, but I think it also you can get a lot of value from duck hunt just by being in that close game. So it'll be about duck hunt really chasing it down, quite literally hunting them down, if you will be the key here. So I love how appropriate it is based on the characters that are at hand.
Yeah, especially because Bayonetta has guns in her shoes, so that'll be
correct.
Just going hunting regardless. I've actually been playing a lot. I've been playing a lot more Bayonetta recently, and I realize now how just grotesquely evil and fantastic it is to get some of those pure combos, especially if you hit someone with a witch time. It just perfection. They go slow, you go quick, and the bullet climax just completes everything. So we get to see how much of that really kind of comes out as well. It could be a 2-0 in immediacy to gain number 3. Let's see if we were right about the picks. Well, you guessed it. We got Duck Hunt. We got Bayonetta. We got our next match on lock.
There you have it. And just like you have with Olimar, it's going to take getting in close with Duck Hunt as well. So it's not just like Duck Hunt wants to get close, because they have a lot of util that they can utilize as well. And there you go. As the Clay Pigeon comes out pretty early, it's slow developing, but you can still get a lot of value out of it. And so that's why you're seeing from a distance, you're able to kind of even the percentage, but it still favors Curbstar here early.
Trying to be able to get them up to that overall to the exploding dynamite, but a lot of that early damage is being done onto Mateo as they have tried to kind of get themselves into position. That is a great separating point. They actually jump into that explosive canister, the which time is not going to get them because they're going to play very safe distance, and yet Iowa's kind of on the ropes right now, that 127% damage.
I love that fake out in this slow play here by Nico in order to get to the Nair that started, well, at least it was an attempt to start that combo, but it wasn't able to land there for Bayonetta. Which time not going to land there either. I think they anticipated a dive in, but it was just a hit from a distance like we'll see plenty out of for the rest of the series here for Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt is such an obscure character to have to deal with. It feels like you are dissecting a Nancy Drew puzzle in real time, and yet if you are just playing a pure Bayonetta, all right, cut that one down and, you know, cut it out. They're trying to kind of keep themselves on the edge as they get through that invulnerability state. A big grab, and that one, oh, they have the timing on that one, Bear. They're just able to get through that invincibility frame.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Nico actually got back to the stage at that point in time because they were, you know, the switch-ups were relatively predictable. It's very difficult to stay unpredictable, though, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. All right, just quick targeting. Feels like this is such a segmented pace of play right now out of Iwis, which is Mateo, on their Duck Hunt, because they have to just kind of slow their roll down. 140%. They've yet to knock off this stock from Curbstar. And the quick combos, you have such good aerial game as well as they get those follow-ups on some of those extra heal strikes, using that clay pigeon, trying to be able to dodge through what is like 3 separate mechanics at a time. But Iwis has been rocking up some extra damage against themselves, 101. And they still have not gotten this first stock away from Curb.
Nico's been playing it smart, that's why, and then just waiting for the combos and then landing them and almost added to it. I don't know if you saw like the down tilt after it, but they will eventually lose their first stock, but not before they were able to cause 114% of damage. I guess it was 101 before they did fall, and an up air will send them packing too. So now just down to 1 stock, and they'll be able to get back up. Over the right side.
Look, I get down there, I ain't coming back. They get down there, like, nah, Bayonetta. They can do whatever. Trying to be able to use, again, some witch time, and then they catch them. I love the grab game. A lot of patience is coming from this, and they know that they can't just kind of bring the same level of pressure immediately. It's about, surprise, gotcha, especially from a lot of this, but goodness gracious, these heels and these boots were made for walking, and it's apparently all over this dog's face.
Yeah, Nico's been just, you know, plain and simple, being clinical, just kind of staying up, no panic attitude, even when they're getting up, and it seems like, because they know that Duck Hunt is going to try to attack from a distance. Look at that follow, and the tech follows were absolutely spectacular. It'll be Nico that wins first here with that Bayonetta.
Man, I wish I could dance like that. What is? It's not. Is it capoeira? Is that what it is? I think no, that's just breakdancing, right?
I think
Maybe?
so.
Yeah.
I'm the worst person to ask on that, I'll be honest with you.
I was told you were a world champion dancer. I don't know about that. Come on.
I'm just being no, I'm just kidding. I really don't know. Please don't. Just trust me with that one. For the virtual school, you said they needed an answer. That's a good start, at least.
Yeah, it's a difference of themes, really, that we're getting right now. I don't think that we're going to have any kind of change up, because we've seen literally 0 other characters played out of Iwis from the side of Innovation High, so I feel like Duck Hunt is going to be back on the menu, and you don't do anything different if you're Curbstar. That Bayonetta, they were like, all right, I have to get through an explosive pail, I have to get through a clay pigeon, I have to get through whatever one of the coats that ends up coming out. And it's kind of crazy because they have to deal with not only that, but the camera change, because you kind of get honed in on wherever the 2 characters go. But they're like, all right, 3 separate like tools all just spread this thing out, so you start playing like a top-down like strategy game as to when and where you're eventually going to get. And then we got some good grabs that actually gave a lot of, at least, extra chance for a Mateo, but you know, it felt like just the combos, especially the aerials, worked so much more in favor of Nico for the majority of that game.
Yeah, whenever they got out of the grab, Nico was able to kind of maneuver around it anyways and start a combo of their own, even, you know, in that case, just based on the frames that they were of availability. And then, you know, they start with the nair, and then if it goes forward, then you just follow it up with the fair, and then try to get back down to the ground with the down tilts. I've seen that multiple occasions. Or if they go behind, you just back air. So it was just literally just follow tech chases were fantastic, and that's how we saw the end of that map go as well. So just 1 away from being able to even things here in the series.
Yeah, and so we'll go into it again. This could end up evening up the series, and then we've basically been shown exactly what is going to be our 3rd guaranteed match in match number 3 between Shoma as well as Diego, which could end up being a Banjo versus a Steve. We'll get to talk about that more in just a little bit. So if you do have something that has been hidden, maybe in the woodwork for Mateo on that Duck Hunt, and maybe they have a separate separate character that kind of changes up pace. I wonder if anything of that has maybe been coached. They have a comfort zone. They know they want to be basically the Riddler of how you have to get through so many different puzzle pieces. But sometimes you just want to have something that kind of brings speed and like has a little bit of savvy attitude with the way you execute. But that's kind of a fire with fire thing that you would have to go against a Bayonetta, and Nico looks like they are very well measured about how they kind of take some of their combo game.
Yeah, that's why I've always loved just getting on an Aegis in general, just because I can do that by learning one character whenever I have time to play this game, to be honest. But just being able to have like the speed of Mithra and then be able to just absolutely have the hammer of Pyra on cue is very helpful. But to have a second character, to your point as well, is certainly helpful. And I think that maybe that's one way to do it. Obviously, very different characters when we talk about Duck Hunt versus a Pyro and Mithra. But sometimes you need that combination. So that way, if you are being countered, it's certainly a way that you can be able to strike back.
Yeah, very true. And so, in case you guys are wondering, we are going to be bringing them back onto stage here in just a moment. It looks like that we just had kind of a longer pause for it. So this second game it's very meticulous, because this second match could change the entire identity of what we have, either a 2-0 or a 1-1 series lockup before game number 3. Iwas will be right back onto that Duck Hunt, and they're playing well and from behind. They got to get all their pieces in lock, but Curbstar is just going to run it straight at them.
Yeah, I failed to mention the up air and that up tilt to Nair is so strong. We saw an example of that too. Great shield time and the witch time as well. So that is a great and strong start there. And the up air to cause even more damage, and the difference is about 80%, make it 90 at this point.
Just racking it up. That is damage for Frizzle right there. That is insane. What it continues to just be nonstop punishment and damage against Iwas, as they have so many things that they got to set up right behind it all. Again, Curbstar, they allow some of these plays to get set because it really hones in where Iwas is going to be locked in as a target. Iwas on the recovery, they barely dodge away what was a Titanic fist from sending them to heaven. Oh, but off of the witch time, this one should get this first stock done.
Yep, clinical. Again, placed it there on a purpose. It was funny because I was watching Mateo, and it was a great attempt to throw out the explosive canister and then just kind of swat him like, get over there. But it didn't quite work out, because then they were at witch time and then threw off the stage. So what do I know?
I mean, I think you do a lot. I think you were able to pull it off. But
oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I got you. Yeah. I do also like that they kind of go through the different colors of the dogs. I didn't realize there was that many, but it makes a lot of sense. Whew, that pup, someone go get him a treat, because he has been mistreated right now by Curbstar, who's only got 41% damage against them. And Iwas is finding it very darn difficult to get anything done in this yard.
No, I feel it. I mean, that's absolute pain here at this point. Just trying to find your way back into it, especially when the series is against. But you can find ways to do it. Just have to be absolutely disciplined, which actually has been favored by Nico pretty heavily as far as being able to find that spacing and the right time to strike, and right on cue. There you go. Up and out with the up tilt, or with the up air, rather. And just a clean advantage, only 64% as well, just trying to cause more damage in addition to that. They were hitting the process there, so at least a good start there, but a lot more to go here if you're Mateo.
Yeah, some of these got to land, and so far, if you're not able to kind of rock and roll with some basically your tools of the trade that forces that separation, that is one of the few times that it has really shown, and that's a great ability to at least get one stock off the board. You got to repeat that a couple of times, and so far, it just feels like the up airs are punishing you a little bit too much.
Tough to get away from. And still on their last leg, unfortunately. It's a great connection, though, with the canister. It's going to be the down tilt to try to start the combo. Luckily for Mateo, they had read that all the way and were able to avoid that last little tilt, air tilt. And so just trying to work around them and trying to find ways to get into this. But Bayonetta seems to just have it marked from the get-go, too. But good stage control from Mateo at the very least. They haven't been caught out stage like we've seen a couple of times in this series. So I do like the improvements, but I think it might be just a little bit too late.
111%. It's not outside the realm of possibility, as Iwas is at least kind of keeping this one cool and calm. Now, I say that they may be literally walked up into the clouds and we never may see them again. 95% is going to be a tough draw to kind of chill with. They throw one canister. They're able to get the witch time. Oh, okay. So 95%. Can you survive just long enough? Oh, that's a question for this combo immediately.
Yeah, but a great parry. I love that. Answered back. And look at this. They're just controlling this from the get-go. A good combination as a canister landed on top of the Quay Pigeon. They'll throw that out again, but able to just kind of sidestep that one with the Witch Time. But another canister going to land, and suddenly you find a little bit of momentum, but you run into the up tilt, and bye-bye. Innovation High School this time around, as it'll be Nico with a great job dominating here with Bayonetta.
You get away from the Witch Time, and then it's time for the Witch Twist. What a twist! Very M. Night Shyamalan style. So, 2-0 one way, a 2-0 the other way. And that's the other thing. We kind of tried to elucidate everyone on, how you go into the mechanics of what these players got, who's going to be kind of first up to represent the school, and who's going to be fighting early. And then you don't really know what the matches are. I would say that we got to see a flare of Mateo getting their footing, and just it was a little bit too late. They're already stocked down and had a lot of extra bonus damage. That last gasp effort, by the way, was stellar. But we've definitely, across these two first matches, seemed to be in kind of counter pick situations, even if it is just the kind of core characters that these players have. So walk into this next one, I'm curious how this kind of rolls, because we have the ability to see what is kind of two annoying meta style picks between what Diego and Shoma might bring to the stage.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think, for Innovation High School, they also have two individuals that once we inevitably play to a fourth now, is a point of emphasis too, that they have two individuals that are really hungry to get back on that stage, Koshi and Mateo. But for a virtual, you could say exactly the same thing, right? Nico is extremely strong. She's probably dying to get back out there, and showed a lot of lights in her matchup too. So I'm very stoked for the fourth one, but I'm getting ahead of ourselves because we've got the Diego and Shoma matchup here at this point in time, which I'm almost guessing it'll be that Steve that we've seen from Diego basically all season long here. On the other side, of course, Shoma has a couple of options, I believe. A Banjo, we've seen a Luigi as well. And sometimes they just go with a random question mark, by the way. We've seen that done 5 times this season, which is very risky, but you love that.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Just kind of hit it up and see what you get. But that kind of screams to me confidence to a big degree. Like, all right, cool. I can just kind of do whatever and make it happen. And they found some victory, and their team definitely has found their way here. So maybe they're going to be the first one to kind of peel off. It depends on what level of methodical play that we get out of Diego. That is going to be they're going to be called Diego as well. That if they bring out the Steve first, structurally that works pretty well against a Banjo-Kazooie. You're going to see some Wonder Wing power that obviously is going to be kept as a back pocket, like completion, for a lot of these stocks. So I wonder if that will stand in the way when they try to wall off for basically if we go to a PS2 or the 2 platform style, and just kind of give yourself a chance to mine. If they rework this stage, I mean, it could be all that in a bag of tricks. But we go Steve, we go Banjo-Kazooie. This is a bit different. They won't have that stock standard 2 platform. They're going to have to play from the middle, and they're going to try and find this little corner of solitude.
We go Town and City. They did a great job of buying themselves time, the Steve did here, in order to mine up a little bit. I imagine the charging will come in handy, especially in their next ones, but they need to take a stock before that happens. But it's just a strong start off the bat here, and continue to try to do so from Diego. But not causing a whole lot of damage quite yet, but it's amping up. You got to kind of wind your way up here if you're Steve. A couple of combos will land in the cart as well to send them off the stage for temporarily, and able to get back on, though, beforehand. But they have some stairs to climb quite literally before they can get back to Steve.
When you have a Banjo that has to kind of rely a lot on rear egg mechanics to kind of get over and around and still have damage coming out, you have a player that is kind of hamstrung to a degree. They're very left-right. They're very lateral, especially because of that Wonder Wing power that you definitely see a lot of. And when you have all these walls, and they're really starting to find a lot of extra material here, Bear, they're making life difficult. Now, to that measure, they did land one Wonder Wing. They throw the minecart out. They're trying to be able to continually kind of bait them into these walls, force them to have to slow down, but that cross map potential is really finding some damage. We're nearly at 140%. Oh, they just make sure not to go up too early against that smash.
Yeah, Shoma wants to be able to get this this kill confirm, sooner rather than later. Quite obviously, be able to get that, press the reset button, if you will. And the extra tries to do that. I like the anticipation attempts here. That being said, it hasn't quite landed as just been able to read the predictability of this situation, but that's a great job to land that side tilt and be able to cause them to retreat a little bit further, but a good turnaround there as well. So good answers both ways from both of these players.
Like the back air. They know that they've been kind of playing on these telegraph baits. Now, they haven't exactly been, taken away yet, and they actually do get first stock. I was wondering if that was going to happen here early. Can they take advantage of some invulnerability frames for the moment? They will drop an anvil on their skull. No damage, great parry. They're trying to complete this first one overall. As they walk at him with some iron, yeah, that ends up being where I thought it would. It took a little bit longer, but no hurt, no foul, no issues. We're zeros apiece in the second stock.
That was like a race of the startup who has the quicker one, and it was Banjo-Kazooie in that time. So Shoma will take that for sure, and even ground here at 1 stock lost apiece, and at 0% as well. And now playing a bit of the farming game as well, farming simulator here 2025. But now Banjo's kind of trying to get in there before anything else he sees. Great job to avoid the minecart and get back to center stage. But then they're going to be swiped at here from the platinum, sword here and trying to get right back at him. And very close to being able to land that with the pickaxe too. So a lot of that weaponry up close. Banjo-Kazooie has been winning that one recently, but now Steve has been able to turn it around.
We're in the diamond age right now, and you also have iron blocks that are standing in the way. So this is such a difficult position. The more you give a Steve time to actually get forward and mine and craft, well, hey, look, I just put the words together. Chicken jockey, everyone go crazy. Then the damage really ramps up. They're trying to be able to get that meteor spike, trying to send them someone completely off stage. Diego is really bringing the works over towards them, but that's going to be a counterplay from the corner. Now, how do they try to rush this out? They're going to go and mine, immediately get more diamond from out of the bin.
And Shoma, meanwhile, is just causing chaos to make sure that they're avoiding any situation that they can, but they're going head on to a whole lot of damage. And doing a great job. Man, mind you, did a great job to shield up there, too, just in time. But the egg is going to have to be avoided here, trying to break through. They do initially, but the minecart will make them ride it all the way back out. And the anvil almost secured that kill as well, but they're able to get back to stage.
Oh, wow. That must be some great calculus that was just had. Good old geometry, because they used the ricochet to kind of keep them there. But the minecart is going to trap them for a bit longer. So you get a fresh set of Wonder Wings in your back pocket to get used. But down to final stock. And this is about as close as we could have asked for the final player here, going to our third matchup between these two schools. This does give championship point for whomever's going to be able to get it. Lava block, that's a lot of damage very quickly.
Here come the combinations, because you just saw the anvil, the side smash as well, and then off you go. So as things go on, Diego got hotter and hotter, quite literally, with the lava block and more. The combinations started landing, and that will be an advantage to Florida Virtual School.
Goodness gracious. Good looks by Diego, because it looked like they had to get back in the driver's seat and really kind of take over this game. It was a 2-1 at one point in favor of Shoma, and Shoma then saw that one slide immediately away. They were getting just up-aired, and then they just kind of got their grave dug and the mausoleum built while they were still alive. That one was very impressive late term, and wow, okay, so I don't really know where you go, because we had some solid adjustments by Shoma. They were locked out early from having to work a lot of, I guess, kind of dependency on from some lateral damage. And then as they started kind of kidding around for what Diego was putting out for some of those walls, we saw the same adjustments by Diego. And on that Steve, you never know what's going to hit and when it's going to hit.
I was going to say, like, that was by design for sure, that Diego was keeping them at bay at first, and they did a good job of it. And I think Shoma needs to do a little bit of a better job earlier to get back in and be able to cause a little bit of damage. If you can't take a stock early from Steve, it becomes just increasingly more difficult. And they were already pretty close. Like you mentioned, they made adjustments later on and actually found improvement as time went on, which is a good sign for them coming into this one. It's just simply be able to break through those walls when they're less sturdy, and be able to avoid those combinations, because those ones at the tail end were very deadly, which just takes awareness of your spacing, especially if you're going to strike in. Yes, you want to get to Steve early, but over time, then you want to start playing it in a different way as he becomes more and more powerful.
We're going to be going into this next one, and I mean, it's not quite super Sweatfest time, Bear, but it does feel like, all right, you want to be able to force a game number 3 here for our third set, because if you go 2-0 out, There's a lot of momentum that can be riding for either one of these schools. Innovation High, they know that they got the first one off of the awesome Olimar from Koshi, but they don't want them to have to be a reliance. And you know Koshi's like, yo, let me at him. Let me be able to figure this one out. And I feel like Koshi's actually a very strong player to send either into Elijah again or into Nico. They play very similarly, maybe a little fear if you have to play directly into that bayonet to be able to clear out some extra Pikmin, but I feel like they have a measure to that. So Innovation High School, the Crimson Bulls got a lot to fight for. We're not done with this third set yet. I feel like this is very 50-50. I don't know what to expect on the other side of this.
Yeah, 100%. I'm totally with you there. Also, now is always the time to sweat, especially for me. And if I was in the finals, I'd be sweating for sure. My shirt turns from pit to dark pit. If you know what I'm getting at there.
Yes, that's good. I can tell you're really taking on being a dad very well these next couple of years.
I made a joke in the pre-show in the green room, no laughter, but this one on stream,
they
satisfying.
don't know no better. They don't know. How dare they not know? That was class. That was master class work.
Oh, I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Well, Steve, get back to work. And still, you know, it's up to Shoma to cause a little bit of chaos a little bit earlier, but it looks very similar to what we saw last time. Pretty even percentages early.
The biggest thing that we're going to see different is that, you know, unlike your previous map, this one will not evolve. And it's going to be more of a regular standard setup in terms of the guard that Steve players want. Trying to use that Wonder Wing to predict that they would come out low. They, in fact, go through stage, and they've been looking to read through a lot more of these. Wow! You're going to have that up, just completely tilt them away from stage. Trying to be able to guard through. They set them on fire early, and they're looking to guide them right off with a minecart.
A lot of great out-of-shield options from the Banjo-Kazooie, and that was well-timed, well-executed as well to try to keep them at bay. It's been at this 118% for a while, although they had to, quoting our other producer here, take a ride a few times in the minecarts. Just hasn't been amounting to any kind of damage on the Steve side, so Diego needs to find a way to cause damage here. Even the Anvil will not land. That 118% remains.
You gotta wonder if that's also gonna play a part. Oh wow, okay, so they're definitely starting to predict this. They know that they love to follow up from the cart, but then also get some big damage. That's gonna be a nice stock, 57 bonus percent as well. But knowing that they like to jump out of it, they kind of broke into that, and recognizing the conditioning that's also been happening by Diego, he knows, all right, I can now bait and switch, bring the immediate smash instead of just kind of playing it as if it's a delay maneuver to kind of bring them off stage. Now they've got Diamond, and it's gonna be a bit more difficult as that play basically guard with their own rear eggs as they start to work, and they're getting, well, a bit crafty with it.
Yeah, and they're happening too. You know, if they want to get vertical, if you're Banjo-Kazooie here at this point, you have to deal with the platforms that are happening. That was a great adjustment, and back here to send them launch. The knockback is quite literally at some of its highest level too, and the side smash or the smash in the air. A great job to confirm that one, and at least bring us to a 2-1 now advantage for that Banjo-Kazooie. Exactly what you're looking for from the start from Shoma.
You had a perfect DI to be able to keep them from going down earlier, because that Wonder Wing sent that Steve as far and away and as fast as I've ever seen. And the second one did about the same. They just completely snuck them into that topside corner. That'll be a fantastic bit of extra mining accomplished as well. They'll dodge one more Wonder Wing as they use it as a recovery feature. Only 25% extra as they're sitting now well above 100. But they got one wing left in the back pocket, and they're starting to make this one way more difficult for Diego to sit with.
Nah, Shoma's got this almost in the bag at this point, unless they just hesitate here at this moment, which unfortunately they're taking a little bit longer than what I would prefer there in that moment, as they had to break through a couple of different walls. But no harm done here. Again, you have still a couple of stocks to work with. You just don't want to fall into those combos late like we saw last time. It's becoming a little bit more and more doable, especially as time goes on and they're able to mine up to that diamond level.
Oh, don't break that shield. They've had to use it twice recently to try and just kind of dodge away from that minecart. So as they try to build a selection of walls, they're looking to harass them at least a little bit with some of these extra eggs. Playing from underneath, that eventually breaks them away from using that shield guard one more time. They use the last Wonder Wing feather, and so now it's all about, do you go down with the ship? But you have 95%. They're trying to use Kazooie as a bazooka and take them down, and it is actually Diego off stage. He's got a ton of work to do, and the dude's well, trying to get back to mining, but the power rests with a good old Banjo as he's strumming a tune for an end of this one to go to game number 3. One good smash will tie up our stocks, but look at 110%.
Shoma's got the power, but right now it is Diego that's got the tower, right? He's been able to wall himself in and be able to get to this level, too. Here come the combinations as well, as you saw them try dive them, push them directly up into the lava block, and now trying to do more, too. Thought they were going to try to dive over, and that's why the anvil went down, but it's still in a compromising position regardless. They got them up to 62%, so one more combo, really, for Steve could do wonders here for Diego. So you have to tread lightly here if you're Shoma.
Yeah, 72%. Suddenly, this one is spun all the way around. Do you let it go 2-0 like it did last time? They comboed you the same way, climbing a tower, but it's all right in the rails. Can they be able to recover without taking too much damage? They actually break it onto their shield. That one's about to be broken. They use a Wonder Wing, and then they get zapped away. Fantastic comeback by Diego, and that will send Florida Virtual School, the Firebirds, to match point.
Let us don Diego San Diego as the saint of this one, because holy cow, what a comeback it was. With that, Steve, you know that it's always a potential. It's always lurking. And it feels bad for Shoma because you were that close. But like we mentioned, if you let your guard down, combos start landing, that damage is already increased up to that level. You have to be able to be proactive in that situation. You found success by being able to kind of find yourself in better zoning situations, or at least be able to kind of work it and maneuver accordingly. You have to kind of up that pace a little bit as that damage comes through, not be able to take your time breaking through those walls. The bazooka of the Kazooie might have come in handy a little bit earlier than it did there, and that allowed and opened the door here for Diego to close things out in that set. And move sets up to 2-1 in favor of Florida Virtual School, so now they're in the driver's seat.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the one good bit of solace right now here for Innovation is that you can't get Diego in succession, right? Like, there has to be at least a break of a player before they're seen again, so like a Game 5 situation. So if you are intendant to bring back Koshi with an Olimar, you have a favorable situation for you, because I do feel like that Olimar is strong into a Bayonetta or a Joker. So if they are going to run that direction, this has Game 5 at least scented upon it. Maybe not full on smelling like it. So we'll see how this one goes. And in fact, confirmed, Nico on the Bayonetta against Koshi with that Olimar. It's all up to Koshi to see how this one can go back up for the Bulls.
Innovation High School played that exactly right, and you said it to a T. And I feel like it's because Florida Virtual School, it almost felt inevitable that they were going to throw out Nico at that point in time. So Innovation read that extremely well and said Olimar plays very strongly, and Koshi had a great set. In fact, was the only one to find success in a sense there as far as winning their set goes. So bring that back out, be able to secure it, and force that game number 5 or set number 5. Obviously easier said than done. I get it's a good matchup, but you have to execute at the end of the day, which is up to these players here in the highest pressure situation here in the Florida Finals.
I honestly, if this does go the way of getting Koshi with their Olimar to be able to take down this Bayonetta, Nico, I feel like they have a lot of success, and obviously you have 2 winning players from either one of these groups that's looking to either get the next win or their first loss of the night. We're going to have another 50-50 glance into what is a Shoma versus Diego matchup. I feel like that could be a feisty game set number 5 for us. But I am not going to go too far for that, because we got to see how this Olimar is able to rock. Can it take down the big boots of a Bayonetta that's trying to get that perfect gun gale to work out for them? Will these seedling Pikmin be put back into the ground or into a compost heap? Let's go to set 4.
So I thought it would be funny if he just brought out the Aegis, but but I'm glad. It's an obvious matchup. Like, you would never do that in the finals with a better matchup here. So, and already getting work at it as well. You know, the Bayonetta is going to be a little bit more frustrating than you had in your original matchup. So I'll definitely leave it to them. They played Bayonetta to perfection, and the best way that you can do that is by getting in on Olimar and creating those combos, which we've already seen a bit of a sneak peek here early.
Love the early damage they get on the purple as well. They know that they have to force them backwards. There's something to be said as well about how great, not just the recovery, but as well as basically the sky dominance that you can get out of Bayonetta, because they just rule the air. They force you to have to take a step back and separate from them. But the Olimar is fantastic at doing that. Now, once that CQC begins and you get to see the fancy footwork we're getting right now at a Curb Star.
Curbstar's done a great job of finding a balance between using your combination, ability by Bayonetta by not only getting in and causing damage, but then also getting out of sticky situations, getting around the Pikmin too. Like, it works both ways, and I like to see, some of the best Bayonetta players are the ones that can do that at the end of the day.
The cat and mouse situation that we got to see on low blast zone screen definitely was fun. All right, you think I'm going to go over there? Nah, I'm recovering this way. 113, 118%. Not at all surprised to see these two very successful players have to be in this situation. Nice back air. They will have at least enough time and enough distance to have to deal with it. You're going to have some of that dot. They caught him on the witch time. They will miss the witch twist, though. That little Olimar, that little astronaut stays alive just barely.
A little DI, just get out in the nick of time, but how much longer can you stay out? Good avoidance here, and really the quick switch up of just doing nothing. I feel like the Bayonetta was anticipating the Olimar doing something, but they didn't.
Oh, he definitely was, but then they just kind of let him float on down. Sometimes it's as easy as just letting your opponent come to you. 142%. They know that the vulnerability frames are there. They're trying to actually get them with a nice down smash, and unfortunately, they just couldn't quite connect as they had kind of that corner to have to deal with. But 7%, that's a negligible feature as we go back to, even stocks.
Definitely the best place to be when you're thinking about maybe 10, 15 seconds ago. Combinations are just coming out in full form. That's a 95%, actually 90% difference before you can even say a word. Plus the witch time had the opportunity to be able to knock them off. Luckily, Olimar got off, but for how much longer? Once again, they're just trying to find their way out in desperation.
Look, I'm saying that there's a chance here, but it has to be proven. My goodness, eat the fist. 10%? And you had 100 plus just thrown at you in a matter of 5 seconds? Bear, look, I'm here for Koshi, but there is something out of Nico's corner. They are not to be doubted. Wow.
Nico tossing the team. I want to see tossing the team on the back. Obviously, they had a lot of love, and this entire team has done extremely well. But this is looking very, very grim here for Innovation High. If they cannot be able to summon themselves, get down into a place of more comfortability here from Koshi. We saw it in their matchup initially, and this won't be the end of it if they lose this this particular game, but it will put them down 1-0 in this set 4, which will make it extremely difficult to try to make a comeback coming, but so far so good in at least causing a little bit of damage and making it interesting.
I think they reordered their Pikmin as well, so they're just trying to be able to finish off the stock with the purple. They end up getting it anyway with an up air, so they just need to not get comboed all the way out. They definitely have to launch away from those high-flying fists.
There we go.
Get a great grab. That's going to be a nice stunner that creates some extra space. They have 2 perps, and they're trying to throw the white to be able to get an extra dot onto it, but no! There go the feet! They're flying away! The astronaut comes on down. Olimar's able to get their recovery! Oh, Koshi's trying to throw 1 purple in desperation, but they're keeping their distance, and Curbstar's looking for their time to shine.
Nico was faking the guns as well and just trying to bait them in to throw the Pikmin so that the way they could combo, get right back into a combo starter in order to get it done. But down the spike! Olimar with the cutback! Oh, Koshi! That is what I'm talking about. Back against the wall? No problem.
No problem is at all. His Pikmins are friends, not food, and they're here to eat up Bayonetta. Wow, little short hop, hit him with the same down strike that we had before. If you hang your hands a bit too long on that ledge, eventually something might splash, and it's in the form of a purple Pikmin. Wow. What a recovery. We've already seen some stellar comebacks here, Bear. That one was such a thin measure of difference and error. Great job by Koshi for keeping their head.
Like Steve, as things progress, Olimar becomes more and more powerful. You get a couple of those purple Pikmin. You don't have to deal with having to cycle out the nonsense blue ones. Just like get rid of this one, right? Let's get that out of rotation, and then suddenly you can start to cause a lot more damage. And as long as you put it well, you're avoiding those combination starters. Is an important part, because once you're in the combo, forget about it. It's a 1, 2, 3. Bayonetta can get you off the edge, especially at that high percentage mark. Great avoidance, and then the spike, it was just absolutely perfectly timed for when they were going to jump off that edge. So you can't speak enough about how Koshi was just so in tune with what they wanted to do in that last sequence in order to get the job done. I mean, I love to see it here. Innovation High, no quit in them.
Yeah, and I don't see Nico switching off of this. I felt like they definitely had Koshi on the ropes. This was definitely like, I was like, all right, is this going to be like a continuation? Do they play for an Olimar? And they actually have about, I think it was a difference of 4 games between this Olimar or doing a Pyramithra. And I was like, all right, if this doesn't work out, are they going to go to the Pyramithra? And maybe will they do that anyway? But I think that we're sticking to true as we're going to be going into our next stage. This is a crucial moment. If you're Koshi, you don't want to let this go to game number 3. You want to get another 2-0. You want to do the best that you possibly can for Innovation High for these Crimson Bulls, and you want to allow another chance to stand up and going into a 5th set, which I highly expect is going to be Shoma. Not to knock on Mateo with their duck hunt. It just felt like we had such a 50-50 bout when it was against Diego's Steve. So I wonder how much of that is brewing, but this next game is gonna be so crucial.
Yeah, it is. It's that chance for a virtual school to just turn it around, be able to just bounce back in this set, and then be able to just close it out before that even becomes manifested, right? So, especially with how close it was, I don't leave it anywhere past Nico. Did you see the way he started that set? I mean, there's no way that you can be comfortable walking into this one knowing that you're going to get to that level. So, but Koshi knows this too, and Koshi was very spread out as far as like their talent goes throughout the entirety of that last game. I'd like to see the map that they go to before I can start drawing conclusions, though. So that being said, I think Bayonetta, with their ability to combo, the least amount that Olimar is able to kind of move around, the better for Bayonetta to be able to chase those combos, tech chase, and to land them into those combo starters. And then suddenly, I think Nico can just take that strong start that we've been seeing every single time and manifest that into a win.
I mean, this may walk straight into your argument, because we're going to go as a small battlefield. So you're not going to get the 3 stage or the 3 platform. You're going to go straight into a couple and see how that kind of works out. As soon as Olimar's feet leave the floor, it is that little Simpsons kid sitting on the school bus. I'm in danger. And that might be exactly where things end up happening. And apparently, according to our awesome admin, by the way, shout out over to the PlayVS guys, especially with LT, Nico has an 89% win rate on small battlefield this spring. That is bananas. Yeah, that is really good.
It's extremely good. Extremely good. You had a little bit of your confidence shaken to some degree after not being able to close out that last one, but will it matter with performances like that throughout the rest of the season? We'll have to see.
Going to game number 2 of our 4th set, with Koshi wanting to finish this one off if possible. Easier said than done by all intents and purposes. Again, you see them wanting to play a lot more kiting. They're going to do this from distance. Even from that little blue guy, he's useful for being used as a frisbee and having to force kind of some general resets by Curb Star to be able to kind of cut that distance down. Now, once they get there, things become a little bit more dangerous, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, exactly, because you can hit nair after nair. As long as it lands, you get another one. And you keep following up on Olimar, and you can't even reach into your pocket to grab a Pikmin, right? So, or reach behind you to grab a Pikmin. So that the more that you can keep them at bay, the less they can utilize what their exact kit is, right? So both of these characters are very much momentum-based, just in different ways. And the Bayonetta early had that momentum, but it's starting to kind of slide as Olimar's gotten the stage control. And
they've also got a great grab. They are definitely making use of that extra platform. They threw some extra Pikmin up there, and I don't know if that was on purpose or otherwise, but whenever you throw them from a higher elevation, they will follow your guidance, and that is a great first stock taken away from Curb Star to really kind of set the tone here.
Yeah, and I think like it's a misconception that if a character is smaller, that their grabs aren't impactful. Sometimes, right? Especially if you're relatively new to the game. But Olimar is like one of those where if you do grab it and then use a Pikmin, it can still cause that same amount of damage. Another grab will land right on cue.
Yeah, especially because I think he had kind of reordered the purple one to be the next one up. And if they had been able to dodge that one, get grab, and then immediately follow with a purple strike, that is a ton of damage. You have 2 purples in the back pocket. They're trying to get back to stage, and that is a difficult task to say the least, but Curb Star is 70%, which time they do not land a contact on 150+% right now. Koshi's just living large for as long as they can.
Koshi did a great job of dodging that around it, and again, the spacing ever so crucial as you see them just continue to keep that same amount just out of the swing, but just for a temporary amount of time is right on cue. That reach of Bayonetta does reach a long way across it, which time, but again, avoided well, so you lost his stock, but Koshi's not losing focus.
Yeah, this is one of those that you can immediately go from 0 to 95. You and I literally saw that just a
Yeah.
little bit ago. That was in 5 seconds, and it's one of those McNasty combos. But you can also be taken straight off your feet if you're at 100+ damage. They're able to get at least one electrical Pikmin out of there. They try to be able to teleport across, and then it immediately is met by a hurricane of heals.
Man, oh man, an opportunity it's just one stock away from them being able to force this 5th map. And it's all because of the comeback on the last time around, but you want to be able to close this out too, and this is a great way to start it off with a combo starter. A couple Pikmin just to get them out of the way to get to the purple one, but if they land, well, great. So I love that combination of just, hey, listen, danged if you do, danged if you don't against you.
Olimar is just like Mr. Game & Watch trying to toss sausages, but his friends actually care about him, and it's not just grease, it is little seedlings that can and will. 2 big purples, that's 2 big strikes in the back pocket. They're going to have to shield through one, toss in the next yellow, and then again, it's Curbstar that knows they're on the ropes. They're at 108%, 1 good strike, and this will be over, and we'll be moving over into a 5th and final set. Using the whistle to try and get him recovered, they will get thrown away to the sky. Koshi will stay perfect on the day for Innovation High. Horns up for the Crimson Bulls. We're going game 5.
There we go. Both schools have shown that all 3 members can really operate in a whole and still be able to work their way out. I love the drive, the passion that is shown here in this finals. It has been proven already from both of these schools, and I want to see more of it, of the battle that we have coming. Now it's time for us to speculate on who is tossed out. Innovation High. We've already talked about Shoma going out. I don't think that's a bad idea. Again, no disrespect to Mateo. I think Shoma comes out here for Innovation High for Florida Virtual School. Let's have that conversation here. So probably going to go see that Shoma versus Diego, you think?
I'd have to think that because, I mean, Mateo, Iwis, their lone man is Duck Hunt, right? We just got to see how effective the Steve was with Diego, and Duck Hunt, with the way that you compartmentalize the weapons that happen, you need a character that is available and very capable of maneuvering around a lot of restructured stage. And I just do not see it working with a Duck Hunt that has to be able to have that happen. We are confirmed, by the way, to have Diego and Shoma. So both of the games of that set, even though it went 2-0, came down to a last gasp comeback win by Diego, and they were both off of tower stacking to lava brick. Gotta wonder how much that has stuck with Shoma, and if they're gonna be able to try and counter and be ready for that read.
Yep, Banjo coming at you. Another rematch, by the way. Or this is the first rematch that we'll see. Diego versus Shoma, the Steve versus Banjo. How much did you learn in this situation? Did you have to learn a whole lot? Because you make a great point. They had great shining moments there. And so got to get to them early, got to get them. You know what the job is. And I think Shoma was doing a little bit better as time ran on, but Diego was able to kind of strike back. It's going to be so balanced here for the final and for the title of the Florida Association of School Administrators is about to cook up here, Monkey.
This is going to be wild. You know, it's our last entire match of the day. I hope that all of you have been strapped in here over at Dr. Phillips High School Gymnasium, because these awesome students are really putting it out there for the state of Florida. I cannot wait to see how this one goes. We're going to be heading over to Town and City to begin things. That is actually where I believe they started things in their first matchup. So right back where this story began, but it's for the championship.
Trying to break in through that tower already, and still mining done. The tower went up extremely early and not able to cause a lot of damage here early as the Banjo. Eggs tossed out, trying to keep them from being able to get any kind of traction here. The bazooka from Kazooie, if you will. Just still being able to land a couple, but that leaves them vulnerable for this attack as they go up to the lava block, the combination we've seen so many times.
It's been such just a clinical combo that feels like it's been practiced and practiced and practiced and is just perfected to a great effect. You get a Wonder Wing to try and kind of even the playing field, get some extra damage whenever you have it around that 30 and 40%. It's not exactly a stock confirmation, so you have to kind of wait and see. Oh, they catch him with the tip of the sword. A nice kind of pixel perfect puncture there from beyond that dirt block stack. And now they keep these eggs around. They use another Wonder Wing that's already down to about half your stock of them.
Yeah, and you don't get them back. until obviously you get a new stock. So you want to be able to use them wisely and get value out of them every single time. I mean, that's a key, obviously, with Banjo-Kazooie, but for those who don't play. But Banjo specifically. Behind them they go. Steve still being able to mine. Just comfortable behind the situation. I mean, this is ideal to start from Diego, no?
I'd say it is. I'd say for the most part, they are looking for that first stock, and it took some eventualities right there. They actually get a fresh set of golden wings. Oh, wait, the pummel? Okay. Trying to be able to set them on fire. That's going to be a quick twist, and that'll be over. 20%, not bad, but again, you have to be very wary because we see 60% quick strikes, and I mean, it's as easy as just finding some of that damage from off of the pickaxe and the sword kind of quick switch, as we already see them up to 60%. That is so quick to give Diego that advantage.
And it's tough. Like, I get it. For Shoma here especially, you get so conditioned to being able to toss that egg in and then be able to bounce out. But when you bounce out, you allow Steve the chance to build up that tower. Then it's going to take you even more time to try to get back in. And you see him doing a masterful job, Diego is, of being able to create that space and be able to mine because of that. So Diego just playing this well, but also in the habits of Shoma that need to die, especially in this last set if they want to find success.
They're trying to guard as well with that egg. They're using the egg as an opener as well as a means to kind of protect themselves because they know that they want to cut down the space, or at least Diego wants to, with that minecart. And that actually has not been part of the main arsenal right now. They're actually just forcing them to kind of walk into it because of that conditioning, the lack of cart use. It almost forces you to forget that that's part of what's been going down. They've been restructuring this map, using a lot more of, the wings kind of end up getting through, but they use a lot more of that anvil to kind of drop down onto them, Kirby style. And man, it just feels like you're locked out of all the progression that is made whenever they go mining and crafting off on the corners.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's like FOMO almost. Get me into this party. Come on. Ooh, great connection there. I love that because you know that they're going to throw a block there. They've done that so many times. That's just reading the play and having played them before. So maybe Shoma trying to take advantage of the fact that they have been playing.
They've definitely been learning. They know that they're going to go for a ride. Ding, ding, ding goes the card. They're going to have to recover. They use the Wonder Wing. They use it twice. Okay.
Wow.
So you've expended 2 feathers to be able to get 1 stock. You're both at high percentage, but now you're on that 150 near scale. You got to find something before you have to give up this life.
Yeah, it's a great switch. You have to at least keep yourself alive, but I don't like these chances at 150% in the way that they've been able to really get them out, but no diamond level quite yet, but they're trying to get to that level too. Very smart move to throw out the minecart and then try to jump out to time that when Banjo was trying to jump over it. But still, now the cart's in hands, plus able to get them before they go, and now back even here at this 1 stock apiece.
Yeah, fresh set of Wonder Wings. So that's actually the biggest investment. They were trying to get that last one off as long as they could. That one's going to be a nice delay from off of that previous card. So 45%. None extra added between them until now, as you find that at least kind of that counter to be able to dive into them. A quick pummel as they do separate onto that high scale. They're using that Minecraft, or rather that minecart, to be able to separate. You do have diamond pickaxe, so some extra scaling upwards right now for Diego. They toss out a rear egg, trying to be able to get back over to him. They actually break through with a Wonder Wing. You gotta watch out. They're gonna use it twice, seeing if they go upwards to try and get some aerial dominance.
I like that they used it the second time to get it across, but that was such a dangerous move. Plus, they're gonna try to get Spike off, and they are able to get back to ledge. At the very least, they can breathe, but only for a second, as they do avoid that minecart very nicely. Here is the bazooka, the Kazuka, if you will, trying to get in and dive into and crash quite literally into it as well, but still having trouble finding to get there.
Great reads. The Brigol Blaster is actually finding some great distances there, pecking and pawing and seeing who's going to be able to take this. 100% doesn't really matter. They're both within that kill range. You actually have him off stage. Diego cut off. He's going to have to deal with the eggs getting blasted. He may use that to be able to separate. One good spike, and this one is over. Seeing if this can be accumulated by Shoma is yet to be able to take a stock off of Diego. He's just going to clear on swipe. He takes back to center stage, going back to mine it. Oh, and he gets him with the card. No, he DIs right back in. He's not down yet. No!
Switch arounds! Oh my goodness! Somehow DI'd back to life and then comes right back swinging. And wow, what a comeback. Shoma able to show up very late into this one and fight off the Diamond Steve in order to get that win and have the advantage here in the 5th set.
That is bananas. That was a fantastic match, and it continues to show the talent and the comeback mentality that all of these students have shown tonight. Look, sometimes these series go a long time. We're like, wow, this is taking a while for someone to win. But it's because there's not a chance that you know the over-under of who's actually going to be able to take this series. I am shocked they are able to DI through that would-be final confirmation. They come back and you just throw that big bear paw. Wow, what a way to just get this first match, or rather this fifth match in that first game of it. Championship point unlocked by Innovation High.
Shoma is as locked in, like the definition of locked in, as you'll ever see. And it begs the question here. That was insane. Not the ideal start. We said Diego had the ideal start. That takes so much energy from Shoma in order to make that happen. Now, if you're just running off adrenaline here at this point in time, it won't matter what you're going through the last time around. You'll just kind of ride that momentum into the next one and be able to close it out. You'll have 2 chances to do so for Innovation High, for Shoma specifically. But at the same time, it's like, how much energy did that, take at the end of the day? If you're Diego, yeah, sure, you burn some energy there as well, but you had a strong start, plus maybe you're able to utilize that, and this Steve that has been playing a little bit better overall when we talk about the matchup, just character to character specifically. Koshi's having to put in like extra overtime work, so can that focus remain is my question.
It's an exhausting thing. You feel like you just, played the entirety of the championship in that one game. that is a lot. I would have to stand up and not to gloat, just to go hold a wall, like, whoo, okay, whoo, where's my water bottle? Let me take a sip. Let me chill, because that was a heck of a thing to witness. Playing it, an entire other venture. The Crimson Bulls, Town and City, same characters, but one of these students is on championship point. Shoma wants to close it out for Innovation High. Comeback City's got to be where it lives for Diego and Florida Virtual.
Yeah, Diego on the other side is hungry for a run it back situation after losing his undefeated streak all the way through. So that feels bad, and he wants to say, hey, I got you here in this situation, and you love to see it. Monkey Man, a lot of dark pits here in this finals.
Tons. Me, you, I think both players. There's going to be a lot of extra Axe body spray being utilized out there. But again, it's kind of interesting that we end up on same stage. I got to wonder if the stage was chosen by Diego, if it was kept out by Shoma, because you don't get the same kind of arsenal again. I talk about how they didn't really get to use a lot more of that minecart, and I wonder if they actually enjoyed the kind of versatility that this stage brings to kind of disguise what they want as their early fight. But it's a 95 percentile right now against Diego, and he's trying to play much more kite-heavy play.
Great job to avoid at least one egg, but then one will land. So having trouble keeping them at bay right now. Shoma's just going to ride that momentum, and that might be ultimately this want to have this comeback here for Diego might be his own ultimate downfall. But that's temporarily lived in my brain. But the answer back is almost immediate.
A fist to the back of the skull would knock me out too. So, shout out to literally everyone. Oh, and the only pain that's been suffered has actually been self-induced right now as they try to get some of those rear eggs to help bust them in. Now, for all the combos that you kind of get out of Banjo-Kazooie, I mean, we saw one that was like, maybe 20 to 30%. And it's just because Kazooie doesn't really kind of have the full damage output until you start getting a lot of those rear eggs, as well as, some of the wing attacks that you get on that spiral. So, good looks to just kind of make things uneasy right now for Diego, even on even stocks.
Slide under, it won't work there for Shoma, as they try the down tilt, I believe, to try to swing with it. But it's a good follow-up and tech chase there as well, trying to get right back to it. But the dive is going to be dangerous. Knew that right when it missed. Oh, Diego was ready for it.
Wasn't that the exact same way he lost his first stock? I swear that was the exact same tech.
It was.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, good read, good repeat. That's something that we've seen clinical out of Diego a time or two. They know how to kind of just do the same thing, copy, paste, and make it pretty. So, as they copy their own paper, hopefully the professor doesn't see that one, but we're not in college yet, so just learning otherwise. 68%, and this could be a much faster match than what we had before. They use that minecart to at least threaten. Oh, but a down smash. 68% now becomes the margin of difference, and so does this final stock.
Gotta be wise. You get all your feathers back, but you're gonna have to use them. to perfection, essentially, and be able to break through these walls, too. Egg's going to land here temporarily, causing only 12% of damage, and then right back to it, but it's going to be denied by that one little block is pesky, because otherwise that would have been a whole different can of worms for Diego to try to avoid.
Diego's trying to kind of read when the next Wonder Wing is going to happen, and now it's not exactly become a disguised or really kind of sabotage here for Shoma. They throw one egg, they try to cut down the distance, they will get anvil dropped on their skull. All right, we go to set 5, we go to game 3, we go to the absolute possible last game. That one always felt like it was way too telegraphed a move too early by Shoma to try and get the home run swing, and it was great patience in opposite by Diego to be ready for some of those more kind of picturesque moves. The Wonder Wing is used a little bit to this kind of in your face, and he knew exactly how to counter that.
Yeah, exactly. Just a quick turnaround or sometimes just back air it if it's a little bit higher, and then now that causes all sorts of problems on the other side of it. And it's literally the taste of your own medicine kind of situation there, because it was Shoma who played such a patient game, really let outside of having to chase Steve down, but then once you got to open space, then letting the play kind of come to you, especially when you get into those engagements when you break through the wall initially. So I think that there's no telling who comes out here with the advantage. You want to say, oh, the most patient player is going to win here because of the results that we've seen in the last two, but Shoma can't play patiently either. That'll be a problem. I think Diego's really got the upper hand here. Now, whether or not he closes out here is a whole different story.
Yeah, but we'll get to see how that one eventually goes. Whoever kind of shows their hand, tilts their cards just a little bit sooner than the other one, shows nerve just this much. It doesn't require too much, especially for someone that is looking for a championship, to be able to capitalize on any kind of mistake or even just creating a moment for themselves. Now, we've seen crazy comebacks. I'm kind of strapping myself in for this one, Bear. I don't know which way this rocky ride is going to go. I wish I had 2 seatbelts to crisscross to keep me in my office chair just to be ready for the bumpy ride that this is surely gotta be. But match point, championship point for Florida is open to anyone, and I want to make sure, but I want to know that both these players are ready for it. It's been a long and rocky road this spring, but hey, you got 3 stocks left to be able to find yourself lifting a trophy.
It could only come to this. Florida Virtual School, Innovation High School. We go 5 sets. We go 3 games. We go to small battlefield with the same fighters, of course. Let's run it back one more time here for the championship.
Gotta get that job done. The good news is that the plan is a little bit more calculated in this capacity. Oh boy, they're column stacking. There goes the lava brick. And there is that 60+%. As soon as he catches you lacking, he's gonna get stacking.
Can't be slacking. Gotta be able to get back into it and be able to just get into this run that we've seen so many times before, especially from Shoma, who's 90% accurate as far as wins go on small battlefield for Shoma. So it has the advantage in that sense. Now, going up against this Diego has been a problem as well, as they've only been able to take 1 win out of the 3 that they played. So that being said, you have to be ready from the start and be able to avoid those minecarts too being a problem. Still causing damage from a distance, though, which is a good sign.
Regal Blaster has been great to just kind of cause some trivial damage and some harassment overall, and forcing them to have to dodge these egg prices, much like the rest of us. Great grab. They're going to slam them down, and that's going to be a great up strike as well. And they are not getting away from any of these blasts, but this minecart has created the most minor amount of disruption, but Shoma will clear first stock.
I'm starting to learn why he's so effective on this small battlefield. Those 2 platforms have been crucial here in the first little bit to be able to maneuver up and above Steve. Now, if they're able to combine and really read the plays for Shoma, if you're Diego, then you're good to go. But they were able to cause a majority of the damage because they were reaching into their chest to try to upgrade their weapons, so that might be an issue as well for Diego, but they're able to find it in time to upgrade at least once.
That is a little house that you build whenever you're trying to survive day 1, and then it suddenly became a mansion. No one was able to break into that house security, and those big blasted eggs as well, those will cause so much shield damage that you can't exactly sit there and guard. So great job working down those walls from Shoma, as Diego now tries to move to a new home, a new house, a new way to be able to live. They build 1 extra stack, but they're just dropping eggs from behind, but it takes 1 backslash of a diamond sword, and that will even up our stocks.
Yeah, plus you got to deal with that for an extended period of time here. It's going to be difficult. Very much for Shoma, more difficult than it has been basically ever before. But that's a great strike back exactly when they need it. We'll try to challenge that shield with a couple of eggs of for themselves. And the anvil was avoided there too. And diving in just before the shield will dive right into him. One stock away from the championship.
They broke one with the egg, and then they're able to use that Wonder Wing. It's been hidden in their back pocket. They've actually been really keeping that one away, not having to overtly use them to try and crack down some of these walls. 73%. If you're Diego, it is building time. It's crafting time. You got to get digging, and it's got to be not just for some extra material, but for a gut check right now. They're going to drop that anvil, trying to be able to dominate the skies from block to brick to block again as they go all the way up into iron. Going to make this one a lot more difficult to have to get through. Another diamond pickaxe. They're going to try and build this one upwards. It's giving them time to dig underneath that platform, though.
I didn't like it. Yeah, exactly. You get just allowed so much time for Shoma to get up on you, but that's a great anvil, and that will cause more damage, but not enough knockback to justify basically the damage given. So trying to dive back into this play is Shoma, who did a great job of challenging into that Steve, who eventually made its way around, did like a little shield poke, if you will, to try to bait them into an attack, but nothing doing. Shoma's been so disciplined here.
Eventually, you have to come out of your hut. You can't just continue to craft. Someone's going to have to go and meet Shoma, and he is creating a collection of eggs here on this Easter weekend. 34%. That's just a small prize to have won to force them out of that little hut of solitude. They're going to have to dodge their own egg explosion, iron bricks to really defend against. They go for that back stab to be able to get it off of that Kazooie on the beak. They slide in with a cart. They were trying to be able to bait them in further. That's going to be another Wonder Wing, 124%. Still at a stock advantage, 57%. Bear, this is starting to climb through the smoke and through the fire comes Shoma dueling with Diego.
The drop grenade and then pick back up was brilliant here from Shoma. You're seeing this come to life, this manifesting from the small battlefield side and almost left the door wide open. They haven't been able to build at all through the pickaxe and nothing doing as it didn't land, but a great shield there to make sure that egg didn't land in addition in succession to it. Great job to bounce back into it, cause more damage in the air as that bear did land, but we're down to the final stock each. It would only come to this.
98%. It's already gone to 113. It's basically written in the stars. Can Innovation High and these Crimson Bulls be able to get this one done? Shoma knows he's got him on the ropes, and he's got no time left to craft. He has no wall that he can build. He's got one pickaxe, and he's got a dream. Can they be able to get this happening? They go into a pummel stance. They bring out the sword. Now, as they build some extra damage, they try to put him all the way out to the ledge. They look to escape. They look to get back into building, and Shoma will have to play a little bit more patience.
Despite the exposed nature from Diego, they're able to manage themselves right back into this one to even ground. That anvil will land as well to cause even more damage to a 129 to 87. Door is open here at this point as the egg continues to attempt to land into it, but nothing doing. Breaks it in! There you have it! It'll be Shoma and Innovation High, your Florida State champions in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Shoma went in like the Kool-Aid man, tore down that one and said, oh yeah, Big Bear style into the Steve, cracking the back, giving them a smack, and he's not coming back. Job well done. They went down 2-1 in the series, but Innovation High, off of the backs of some fantastic players and good comeback mentals, are going to be your FASA champions.
Woo! All right, 91%, 92% on small battlefield. By the skin of their teeth. Holy battle. Diego had something to say and had it close. And despite being literally exposed as a Steve and no materials to build in, I don't care what level you're at that point in time, you are just wide open for a whole bunch of beating. But still made it extremely close. Able to battle back to some degree. Innovation High was that close for an extended period of time. You got nervous, but Shoma didn't. Or if they did, certainly did not feel that way, man. It's crazy.
The shock and awe, the rattle of the bones and the fingers, they're going to be stepping away from the game for a second, if only to pump a victorious fist to the sky to everyone out there and be like, you know what? We held our nerve and we're able to be victorious today. That was such a gutsy game, a gutsy series, both players putting everything on the line. I'm so glad that we got a revenge tour between those two because it was cooking. We saw that 2-0 when it was that game number 3, but it felt like it needed to go an extra distance. And you know what? Shout out over to Florida Virtual. The Firebirds did fantastically, but it was just individual adjustments that ended up winning the day.
Fantastic effort from everybody here on the Smash side. Florida Virtual and Innovation High School in a battle of attrition, and one that will be remembered for an extended period of time in FASA. So again, a thank you to Florida Association of School Administrators working so well with PlayVS as to put together what was an incredible season thus far. So all the admins behind the scene, of course, Monkey Man, appreciate you joining us too, as well as the production team behind the scenes too, as Blasky doing a phenomenal job. All the admins on the PlayVS side, just a spectacular job throughout the day. And as well as everybody at the gymnasium there at Dr. Phillips as well. Much appreciated in the hard work that y'all put into, all the parents, all the students that made this possible. Y'all are just absolute goats, and we appreciate you for sticking around and hanging out with us and being able to put in your time and energy on a regular basis. Man, oh man, that wraps up the FASA finals. Until next time, Bear Lights and Monkey Man checking out. Good night.